Rizal domination and yet so many surprises out of this YCS. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. We have your top 32 breakdown out of YCS Japan Osaka, and this is actually very, very interesting to see. We had 12 Rizal decks in the top 32. Of those, we had one Magistus and one Voiceless Voice builds. Now, if you don't understand, Rizal gets to get away with some of these very cool tech choices out here that allows this deck to actually make some, I would say, interesting choices. We also had 3 Malice decks. Oh, that's quite a difference in these numbers out here. Actually seeing such a big swing there is actually kind of insane. We also had 2 Tenpai Dragon builds, which honestly, Tenpai is still kind of strong, even with, you know, the limitations that they're forced to take on there. We also had 1 Snake Eyes deck, 1 Labyrinth, 1 Voiceless Voice. We also had a Chimera Illusion, 1 White Forest, 1 U-Bell. We also had this 60-card Chaos pile, which was kind of interesting to see. And also, we also had a Crystron Duelist stepping into the arena out here as well. I'm actually very intrigued that Crystron's actually had a showing out of this event, because Crystron's not exactly something that you would take a look at and go, oh, okay. No, that deck actually has some interesting power scaling going on about it here. We also had a Pure Fiendsmith deck. Now, what's also very interesting about this is you wouldn't think that, you know, with the whole engine being limited in the capacity that it is in the OCG, that, you know, that build actually did very well. I don't actually have that list to showcase for you today, but it was very interesting to see the ideas that that could try to do. And we also had Runic Stun, and then there were 4 unknown duelists in top 32 whose list we don't actually have to associate with them. But this gives you a very strong grasp of how this meta was shaping up. And you know, all real things considered, I'm pretty impressed with this breakdown. Let's pass on over to deck list. Our event was the Rizal Duelist, actually playing 2 Meteor Logic Aggregator, which is kind of interesting, and they were also maximizing on 3 Duo Drive. I find that very, very interesting, that, you know, having that maximized Duo Drive ratio is pretty good. Also, having access to the new support is gosh darn pretty good. Ghost Ogres, all the hand traps in the world that you could particularly want in a list like this are all going to be at your disposal. This deck actually looks kind of insane. Also, only the 1 Rizal cross, but all right. Next up here, we have our Labyrinth list, locking down our second place out here. And no furniture pieces in this list, actually. We are doing 1 Gamma, 1 Delta, 1 Driver, though. It's actually kind of amazing to see that we were even playing those, considering how good this duelist opened up in those feature matches, really crushing the opponent out here and putting themselves into a really good position. Like, it was genuinely pretty impressive, even though Labyrinth should have won after the miraculous comeback that they had, but all right. We also have our Tenpai Dragon. I see that we are doing 2 Genroku, 2 Fadra. It sucks you only have access to 1 Chandra. This build is not doing the fun Mash Dragon stuff, but you do see that we are main decking the Ultimate Slayers in here to clean up problematic cards. And to my surprise, they are playing a decent Link package in here. That way they can get into the Promethean Princess, attempt to reclimb up, do some of the little extra climb up stuff. Looking pretty strong for an option tree here. All right. Next up here we have more Rizal, but this is with a Voiceless Voice build here. I assume that we are going to start with, like, putting Skull Guardian and the little package up online so you get the Skull Guardian protection. And then you would attempt to do the Duo Driver stuff on the side and then start to kind of climb up on the sublines here to try to combat your opponent. This is an interesting take, actually. Once again, I mean, this just proves how much innovation you can shove into Rizal and get away with it. All right, we also have Pure Rizal for you here. The 7 Tachyons, the 7 Dissensions. Only playing 1 Mulch Army, though. That's interesting, but I guess to be fair, like, once your deck kind of gets going, you're pretty much good to go. Like, you just got to lock in and go to town. We were playing 2 of the new Exceed down there as well. That's interesting. I haven't seen anybody trying to focus on 2 of that, but I guess it's one of those situations. It's looking pretty good. Also, no Pot of Prosperity in this list. Interesting. We also have more Rizal for you here. Holy crap. So much Rizal. Now, this is playing Judgments and Evenlies in the main. I guess the logic here was, you want to have some abilities to go second. You want to make sure that you can get to these power cards and just play the game. All right, and I don't really blame anybody for wanting to do that. Also, the 1 Tack Talents, the 1 Lightning Storm. A lot of interesting 1-ofs here. I see we're also playing a Malong. Why in the world are we playing Malong down here? Okay, sure. Interesting choices. Ooh, we also have the Magistus Rizal list. Now, this is actually not our first time seeing this list. This was actually kind of popping up a couple of places. I believe this is the same duelist that was seen popularizing this before, but this deck has some little cute interactions that just kind of put your opponent into one of those really weird positions that they're like, huh? Like, what am I supposed to do about this? I mean, honestly, nothing. It's just a very good, strong control option tree that does some cool things. Ooh, we have our Azamina Snake Eyes. White Forest. Is this just considered White Forest at this point? But anyway, Triple Deception, 1 Sacred, as we should be. I see that, man, our Snake Eyes package is so abysmally small, but, I mean, at least you can still make Apollosa Baron, right? Like, you still have these control cards that you can put onto the field, force your opponent into this really bad position, and they're just going to look at you and they're going to go, huh, like, what am I supposed to do here? Well, honestly, nothing. You do have some cool options, but it's nothing else too crazy. All right. We also have Runic Stun. There's not a lot to be said about Runic Stun. All right, you got the triple card demise. You have the Dimensional Fissures. You're just slow rolling your opponent, generating the advantage. The Soul Drain built into the main, I think, is a cute little tech choice for sure. Also, those Dimensional Fissures. Gotta love it. But outside of that, I mean, this deck, you're always going to have 1 Runic Stun duelist ruining people's days. It's never going to change. We also have Tempai Dragons. Alright, so we do once again have the power of the little Doki Drago in here. I see that we are doing Druisworm with the Magna Hut. That way you can get some searching up and running. Of course, Triple Dominus Impulse, but you've also got those Ultimate Slayers in the main. I think everybody kind of agreed for this event. Alright, like, you're going to be running the Ultimate Slayers. You want to make sure that you can get those control options going. You want to be able to smash through your opponent to do the thing. Alright, it looks pretty standard, honestly. Next up here, we have your Chimera Illusion good stuff with an Azamina package built in here. I see we are playing 1 search, or 1 of the spell card, 1 Sacred Azamina, 1 Deception. No Essa. You're not getting into the cool little extra stuff that this deck actually has. It's just you look at how the deck is structured and how things go, and it looks relatively strong, honestly. This is the only Chimera Illusion deck that made it in the top cut, so that's something to think about. Ooh, we have Voiceless Voice. I'm honestly very surprised that this deck even actually got a chance to shine, but to be fair, in 1 out of 1 Master Duel format out here, you gotta just think about, this deck setting up Skull Guardian's Harvest Protection, the Nadir package, maybe getting some extra deck rips from your opponent. This deck does kind of take its toll on the opponent a little bit. So I can kind of understand just looking at this going, yeah, this deck has some cool options going for it, for sure. Alright, what else we got cooking? Ooh, our Thunder Dragon pile. Must be nice to have triple frickin' Fairy Tail Snowman. Just having the snows, double grass, the triple left arm, like, you get any package of that going, you're just off to the races. Like, your opponent's just gonna go, well, like, what am I supposed to do at this point? Unfortunately, not a lot, because once this deck goes, it's just Titan Purgatory everywhere. But it's kind of cool to see a nice refresher back here and see Thunder actually doing well. Next up here we have good old standard Yubel. Oh boy, yeah, this is very standard. It really stinks that you can only play 1 Phantom of Yubel, but you do have a Valkyrie and you also do have Summon Sorcerers out here. Summon Sorcerers does make all the difference in this deck, contrary to what you might be thinking out here. Having access to that line, just to make sure you can put, the little extension plays that you need to on your opponent with the Sorcerer, very, very, very strong. A lot of people don't realize how much the TCG needs that card. Ooh, we have some Malice for you. Pretty interesting that we went this far without seeing any Malice lists. are playing 1 Code of the Soul for the extender. The Dot Scraper that I swear I've seen every Malice player open up out here, which is hilarious, by the way. This card is glued to people's hands. And then, of course, this list is actually playing the Pack Bit, the Meteor Logic, and the D-Save Worm. So you make this. This is going to be the thing you're going to be flinging at your opponent. You've got a lot of strong resources here going with this. And I really, really, really like this list. This is pretty good. And then we also have our Crystron list back here, actually. Like I said, Crystron was not something that I expected to even be seeing doing relatively well, but you know, it did. We also are playing the Inzektor power-up Synchro Monster back here. When was the last time that you saw this thing actually seeing play? Also, we are doing the 1 title as we should be. Definitely some interesting interactions there. This deck just looks very, very solid, actually, and I like that a lot. So, that is your breakdown for YCSJ Osaka. Please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.